In a world where cars ruled the roads and no humans existed, there was a small town called Motorville. Here, cars of all shapes and sizes lived, worked, and played together. Every year, the town held its most exciting event, the Great Motorville Race. Among the residents of Motorville was a young, bright red compact car named Ruby. Ruby had always dreamed of participating in the great race, but she was often overlooked due to her small size and lack of racing experience. One sunny morning, as Ruby was driving to her job at the local car wash, she saw a poster announcing sign-ups for this year's great race. Her engine revved with excitement, and she knew this was her chance. "I'm going to enter the race this year," Ruby announced to her best friend, a tow truck named Toey, during their lunch break. Toey's eyes widened in surprise. "Are you sure, Ruby? The race is really tough. Only the fastest and strongest cars compete." Ruby's determination didn't waver. "I know I can do it. I've been practicing in secret, and I'm faster than I look." Word spread quickly about Ruby's decision to enter the race. Many of the older, larger cars in town chuckled at the idea. "A little car like that in the great race? She won't last 5 minutes," snorted a big SUV named Brutus. "She's better off sticking to washing cars," sneered a sleek sports car called Zoom. But Ruby didn't let their words discourage her. Instead, she used them as fuel to push herself harder. Every day after work, she would practice on the outskirts of town, pushing her limits and improving her speed. As the weeks went by, Ruby's dedication caught the attention of an old, retired race car named Grandpa Piston. He had won the great race multiple times in his youth and was considered a legend in Motorville. One evening, as Ruby was practicing her cornering, Grandpa Piston rolled up beside her. "You've got spirit, kid," he said with a warm smile. "How about I give you some pointers?" Ruby couldn't believe her luck. "Really? You do that for me?" Grandpa Piston nodded. "I see a bit of myself in you. Now let's work on your acceleration." For the next month, Grandpa Piston coached Ruby every evening. He taught her how to take corners more efficiently, how to draft behind other cars to save energy, and how to pace herself during a long race. Ruby soaked up every piece of advice, her performance improving day by day. She felt faster, stronger, and more confident than ever before. Finally, the day of the great race arrived. The entire town gathered at the starting line, engines humming with excitement. Ruby lined up alongside the other racers, looking tiny compared to the muscular sports cars and powerful SUVs. "Good luck, Ruby," called out Toey from the sidelines. "You can do it!" The town's traffic light turned from red to yellow, and all the cars revved their engines. Ruby took a deep breath, remembering everything Grandpa Piston had taught her. Green! The race began with a roar of engines and a cloud of exhaust. At first, Ruby fell behind as the larger cars surged ahead with their powerful engines. But she didn't give up. Remembering her training, she focused on maintaining a steady pace and conserving her energy. As the race progressed, Ruby began to notice some of the bigger cars slowing down. They had used up too much energy at the start and were now struggling. Slowly but surely, Ruby began to overtake them one by one. The crowd watched in amazement as a little red car weaved through the pack, her small size allowing her to slip through gaps the larger cars couldn't manage. By the time they reached the final lap, Ruby had moved up to third place. Ahead of her were Zoom and Brutus, the two cars who had doubted her the most. "Now's your time, Ruby," she told herself. "Show them what you can do." As they approached the final turn, Ruby saw her opportunity. Zoom and Brutus were so focused on each other that they didn't notice the little red car drafting behind them. Just as they began to round the corner, Ruby used all her remaining energy to slingshot past them on the inside. The crowd erupted in cheers as Ruby crossed the finish line first, just inches ahead of Zoom and Brutus. She had done it! The little car that nobody believed in had won the Great Motorville Race. As Ruby caught her breath, she was surrounded by cheering cars from all over town. Toey was there, beaming with pride. You did it, Ruby! You really did it! Even Zoom and Brutus had to admit they were impressed. We were wrong about you, Brutus said sheepishly. You're a true racer. But the car Ruby was most excited to see was Grandpa Piston, who rolled up with a twinkle in his headlights. Well done, kid. You've got the heart of a champion. Ruby smiled, her red paint gleaming in the sunlight. Thank you, Grandpa Piston. I couldn't have done it without your help. From that day on, Ruby was no longer just the little car who worked at the car wash. She was Ruby the racer, the unexpected champion who had shown all of Motorville that with determination, hard work, and belief in oneself, anything is possible. As Ruby took her victory lap around Motorville, waving to all her friends and neighbors with her side mirror, she felt a sense of pride and accomplishment she had never experienced before. She had proven to herself and everyone else that size and background don't determine success. It's the size of your heart and the power of your determination that truly matter.